Lagos Talks
91.3.
News.
Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Garuba Abari, has described the flooding incident across the country as a national emergency that requires urgent assistance by all and sundry. Abari, who made the disclosure yesterday while briefing newsmen on the agency's findings on flood situation in the country and in Abuja, called on non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations to mobilize and provide relief materials to the 33 states of the Federation affected.
In this time of need, it is a time when those who can help must reach out a hand to those, must extend a hand to those who need help. Our mandate requires the agency to encourage people to actively and freely participate in discussions and the decisions on matters affecting the general welfare of all Nigerians and indeed our dear country. We therefore call on all citizens, individuals and corporate groups to mobilize and send aid to flood-ravaged individuals and the communities, both in internally displaced persons camps and elsewhere.
Garuba Abari, however, revealed that the agency is currently partnering with Superbike Clubs Association of Nigeria on a campaign to ensure food security, national cohesion, and prevention of malaria in the aftermath of the floods. The Nigerian Air Force, INEC, has put together a committee of officers to compile all allegations of accidental airstrikes on civilians and review the causes leading to them. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, who stated this yesterday at the opening ceremony of the 2022 Air Operations Seminar in Okwa, said the committee will come up with extensive measures to mitigate future incidences of collateral damages on civilians during NAF operations. The Chief of Air Staff also revealed that the force is expected to take delivery of 55 fighter helicopters by December 2022, with other new acquisitions to be delivered in 2023, adding to the 38 fighter aircraft previously acquired by President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, has pledged to continue to partner with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to curb vote buying, especially during the 2023 general elections. Its chairman, Abdulrasheed Bawa, who made the pledge yesterday while addressing journalists shortly after defending the Commission's 2023 budget before the Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption, said that the Commission would partner with INEC to arrest and prosecute persons involved in vote buying.
There is an electoral act that defines how election funds should be managed and who should finance elections. And I think that is the law of the land. You understand? And Nigerians are law-abiding, and the EFCC is working towards ensuring that all of that is in compliance with by all Nigerians and politicians, and we are working hand in gloves with INEC and other stakeholders to ensure that happens. We continue to do what we have to do. We are trying to ensure that illegitimate funds are not finding their way into our own electoral processes, and for those that are vote buying, we continue to arrest them, work hand in gloves with INEC to ensure that the cases are in court. You should find out on that. I don't know the status of the cases offhand now.
Our correspondent reports that the EFCC chairman also lauded the redesigning of Naira notes by the Central Bank of Nigeria, saying the new policy will aid the Commission to monitor people holding currencies legitimately and otherwise.
It's a good thing that the country is redesigning its currency now, because you can. How can you control? How can you have an effective monetary policy when you don't have control over 85% of your currency is out there and people are holding it? People are using that, to speculate on the foreign exchange and all of that. So by coming up with this policy, the government is trying to contain that and ensure that those people that are bringing back all these monies, whether legitimately and or illegitimately, and will be able to monitor, and then the right course of the law will, take its course.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Thursday said it will publish and display a preliminary voters register for the 2023 general elections for citizens to file their claims and objections. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu, who disclosed this during a meeting with journalists and members of the civil society organizations, said the exercise will commence on Saturday, November 5 and last till Friday, November 25, 2022 across the 774 local government areas of the country. The INEC boss noted that the electoral body will release further details for Nigerians to file their claims and objections by next week, but called on all citizens to use the opportunity to scrutinize the list and help the Commission clean it so that the final voters register for the 2023 general elections can be compiled and published. The police authorities in Sokoto State have arrested a man in possession of over 100 permanent voter cards, PVCs, 4 months before the commencement of the 2023 general elections. Commissioner of Police in the state, Mohammed Husseini Gumel, disclosed this on Thursday while briefing journalists at the command headquarters in Sokoto. Although the police authorities are yet to trace the actual owners of the PVCs, Gumel said it is believed that the owners of the PVCs are not residents of Sabon Benin alone, where the suspect was arrested. The Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has presented the budget of continuity as proposed with a budget size of 1.7 trillion naira, comprising a total revenue of 1.35 trillion naira and a deficit financing of 350 billion naira. The governor also presented an executive bill for Lagos Wealth Fund to the House of Assembly during the budget presentation yesterday. Sanwo-Olu's counterpart in Delta State, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, presented the appropriation bill of 561.8 billion naira for the 2023 fiscal year, which a christened budget of seamless and stable transition, showing a 17% increase over that of 2022. And in Cross Rivers, Governor Ben Ayade presented the state's 2023 budget estimates of 330 billion naira. The governor said 7.5 billion of the budget titled Quantum Infinitum will be set aside in this year's budget and will be used to pay 500,000 residents in the state stipends ranging from 5 to 10,000 naira monthly. The founder and coordinator of the Igbo Language Project, Mrs. Comfort Ubosi, has called on various ethnic groups in the country to ensure they speak their language. Speaking at the second edition of the Igbo Language Quiz Competition yesterday in Lagos, Mrs. Ubosi said this will help their children grow without losing their true identity and ensure that Nigerian languages do not become extinct.
I would like the Yorubas, the Efik, let us go back and speak our language. Our children behave better when they speak. They know their language, they speak it. Your child you raise with the language is a different child from the child that speaks English, calls you Popsy. Has, the language involves your culture, your tradition, your norms, how the child relates with people. Grandma, grandfather, mother. Your language sets boundaries.
Mrs. Ubosi said the quiz competition is part of efforts to revive speaking of the Igbo language, in addition to publication of the functional Igbo series for students, which started as a personal effort to teach her children the language.
In 2010, we launched the first book. I was writing it for my own children because I was just writing it to say I'm going to force my children to learn. And everybody that saw that book said, that concerns me too. You better publish it. That's how that book was published. I wasn't writing it to do anything with it.
A stakeholder at the quiz competition and proprietor of ST&T Regency International School, Ikeja, Dr. Maggie Ibru, expressed satisfaction at the initiative and encouraged the promotion of speaking indigenous languages.
It's indescribably brilliant. You see, because the culture is synonymous with who we are, and we have lost it. That is why the children don't even have respect for their parents. They don't even have respect for the names they bear. Because if they had a culture, they realize the significance of being the son of so person. See, we're losing that for money, for affluence. So I think really it's something we need to
Correspondent Joshua Oshoke reports that Laurel International School Agbara emerged winner of the 2022 Igbo Language Quiz Competition, followed by Radiant School, Festac, and St. Jude School, Festac. And out to the foreign scene, Senegal's President Macky Sall has been urged to dispel doubts and publicly declared that he would not run for a third term, which they say could sow chaos. Sall, who was elected in 2012 and re-elected in 2019, has for months remained unclear on whether or not he intends to seek a third mandate in 2024, although the constitution stipulates that a president cannot serve more than 2 consecutive terms. His opposition promises fierce resistance if Sall, who is currently president of the African Union, does seek another term. In a statement on Thursday, human rights and democracy organizations pointed to the particularly tragic consequences of attempts to force third terms elsewhere in Africa, an issue that in Guinea and Ivory Coast has led to explosive violence. World's richest man, Elon Musk, has completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter. This is according to US media and an investor in the firm, bringing to a close a saga that saw Twitter go to court and hold the billionaire to the terms of a takeover deal that he had tried to escape. Twitter has not yet confirmed the takeover, but Musk also tweeted the bird is freed in an apparent reference to the deal closing, and also changed his Twitter profile to read Chief Tweet. The social media platform's shares will be suspended from trading today, Friday, according to the New York Stock Exchange's website. Musk had earlier said he bought the social media platform to help humanity and he wanted civilization to have a common digital town square. And out to business news. The Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, has said that by October 31, another batch of $120 million will be released to foreign airlines whose funds were trapped in the country. CBN Governor Emefiele disclosed that the decision to release the $120 million of trapped funds owed to international airlines operating in the country during the meeting between the leadership of the House of Representatives, the International Air Transportation Association, Airlines Operators of Nigeria, and representatives of the federal government, including the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika. The amount is part of the remaining trapped funds of the foreign carriers operating in Nigeria, and that brings the total amount disbursed so far to $435 million. And finally, to sport news, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has set November 11 as the deadline for countries to declare interest in staging the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. A new host must be found for the 35th edition of the continent's showpiece after Guinea was stripped of rights because of concerns over infrastructure and facilities. Morocco, which hosted this year's Women's Africa Cup of Nations finals in July, intends to apply to host the 2025 men's finals, while Nigeria's early interest to step in and co-host with Benin has gone quiet since Amaju Pinnick's exit as president of the Nigeria Football Federation. Bids from Algeria, South Africa and Senegal have only been speculative, although public interest is overwhelmingly in favor of the latter staging the competition. Cameroon was the venue for the 2021 Nations Cup earlier this year, while Ivory Coast is set to host the 2023 finals, which will be played in early 2024. CAF inspection team will tour bidding countries from 5 to 25 January next year in its quest to find a suitable replacement for Guinea.
Lagos Talks
91.3.